morning, everyone. My name is Betsy Hughes, and I'm the Vice President of Institutional Advancement for IT. Welcome to the 2017 Alumni Awards program. It is a beautiful spring day on campus. We planned it just perfectly for your arrival. This is the 7th decade that these awards have been presented. We love this list of names along the wall of the more recent ones, and today we are here to celebrate the new names that will be added to this list. If you can control yourself, and you probably won't, so that's okay, I'm going to read all the names of today's winners so we can cheer robustly. Judson Altoff, Robin Charissa, the family of Bob Growney. It's okay, you can cheer. Okay, I'm going to start over. We're going to do this again. We're going to do it again. Judson Altoff, Robin Charissa, the family of Bob Growney, Art Hill, Jeffrey Karp, the family of Gertrude Lemp-Kurbis, Alireza Khalid, Brad Krieger, Wesley Leggett. Okay, the next one's going to top that. Sherry Littlejohn, Rosemary Mitchell, competition's on. Thank you. Adrian Nemchak. Woo! And Michael Romales. Congratulations to all of today's winners. Now that's the tone we're expecting you to have for the rest of the day. Frivolity, Friday afternoon, it'll be fun. I also want to greet some special guests who are here with us today. Our President Alan Cram and his wife Anna are here. Parade waves are good. The chairman of the board, Bud Wendorf, class of 1971, who's up here. Our provost, Francis Burnett, here. We have several members of the board of trustees with us, and if they just give a parade wave, that'd be great. David Kroll, Michael Galvin, Chris Gladwin, Ed Kaplan, Jeff Karp, Sherry Littlejohn, Rosemary Mitchell, Walter Nathan, and Adrian Nemchak. Thank you to the board for being here. There are many members of the university leadership, our academic deans and vice provosts and senior leaders, and we thank them all for joining us for this very special day. I want to extend a special thanks to those of you who are here as the family and friends of our winners for taking your day to be with us and celebrate. So thank you all for being with us. So I hope you'll, please start enjoying your salads. Please dig in. Dig right in. It's okay. It's not rude. While I'm talking, it's okay. I hope you all had time to spend a few minutes with as you walked in the building today and saw our iPro program. This is the interprofessional project classes that present their final projects at the end of the semester. These classes bring together students from every major at Illinois Tech to address real-world problems using innovative design thinking methods. And if you miss seeing them today, they'll be gone by the time lunch is over, but you can come back. We do this in the summer and in the fall, and they love to have alumni present to see their work. Speaking of our creative and brilliant students, we have several students with us here today who've dressed up and maybe even skipped a class to join us. Could the students please stand so we can welcome and recognize you? I know there are some out there. There we go. Thank you very much for being here. They look great. Before we begin, I'd like to tell you how our day will unfold. In a few moments, you'll hear from two members of our Alumni Board of Directors, and then our President, Alan Cram, will give a university update. We'll then present the only award that is given to an individual who is not an alumnus, and that's the Galvin Award, before we take a break to enjoy our lunch, and then after lunch, we'll present the awards to the alumni. But first, we will hear from two great alumni leaders who have helped to make this event possible. The Alumni Awards Committee of the Alumni Board chooses these award recipients. We appreciate all their hard work and leadership. I would especially like to thank Scott Turnovitz, who chaired the committee from 2014 to 2016, and Don Schutte, who took over for him this year. And as they make their way to the stage, I'm going to brag about them just a bit. Scott is a member of the Alumni Board and the founding partner of the award-winning design firm Gravity Tank. He's a 1992 graduate of the Institute of Design, comes from a great Illinois Tech family. His parents are both graduates of the College of Architecture, and his brother Craig is also an alum. Scott is celebrating his 25th reunion this year. Wait for it, this is fun. His mother, Marilyn, is celebrating her 50th reunion, and they're both serving on their reunion committees. Great alums. Dawn Schutte also serves on the Alumni Board. She's a partner at Threshold Acoustics, where she enhances the acoustics in performance spaces and other places of public assembly. Dawn earned her bachelor's degree in architecture and city and regional planning in 1992, and her master's in city and regional planning in 93. She is also a great Illinois Tech family because her husband, Steve, also graduated in 1992. Like Scott, Dawn is also celebrating her 25th reunion. So as we welcome Scott, I will present him with a little gift of our thanks for his hard work. He'll say a few words, we'll hear from Dawn, and then I'll come back up and tell you about Alan Cram. Thanks to Scott. Yay! And it probably was fragile too. He probably broke something.
That's what I do, Betsy. I break things. All right. So the nice thing is you'll talk about other people longer than you talked about me. So that's good. So I want to start today by reminding everybody why we're here, what this event's about. This is really the day that we get together to celebrate the philanthropy and the engagement and the achievements of the alumni for the university. We've got a full docket today, not only of the award winners from this year, but as Betsy mentioned, a lot of the achievements that are up on the wall. This is a really impressive list. One of the things that I started to understand as I got involved with the committee was how many achievements the university has in every area that they've chose to endeavor in. So engineering, science, psychology, architecture, business, design, and law. I think I got them all. So, I mean, it's just amazing for a university to have achievements in all of those spaces. And that's why I'm excited about today. We get to celebrate those achievements and the wonderful things that our peers have done. It takes a lot of hard work to pull this off. It starts at the beginning. It actually starts a day or two after today, getting new nominations in and making sure that we're aware of what's going on out there, all the way to culminating next year in a day like today. And the first group that I would like to thank is the nominations committee, because there's a lot of work that's done in reviewing, judging, trying to make some sort of comparison between apples and oranges. I mean, what happens when you have a great achievement in law versus something that happened in engineering? Those things are very hard to compare when they're up for the same award. So, will the members of the committee that are here please rise and accept my appreciation for the last 3 years of being committee members? Come on. The second group that I think I'm even more indebted to is the staff that takes care of the alumni. They do a wonderful job organizing and getting together these things for the last 3 years in this role. I don't know where Kelly is. Kelly's done an amazing job, from everything from helping us move into the kind of new era. Everything is digital now. We can do digital submissions. We get summarized reviews of things, which is handy when we get 27-page submissions for these things, all the way to putting on an event like this. And I mean, let's be real. This is like holding a wedding every year, right? It's a lot of work. So, will the staff that's helped us out please stand up and take a round of applause? You're okay. Thank you. And the last thing before I let Dawn up here and take over, that I just wanted to talk about a little bit, as Betsy said, there's a changing of the guard. So just a little bit by the way of reflection, I'm really appreciative to have had this opportunity. There's a lot of things that happened that I didn't expect with this. I think the first one is I've just been blown away with some crazy cool accomplishments that people have had. that I didn't expect. I mean, I knew about all of the old stuff. I knew about the magnetic media. I knew about the radios and kind of all of the things that had been done in the past. What I didn't have purview of was redefining data storage technologies, going to space, fundamental improvements in material sciences. You just don't get to see these, and you don't get a regular view of those kinds of things. It was really nice to be behind the scenes on all of those things. I think that the second thing is just the breadth of coverage. When you're here, especially as an undergraduate, you're so focused on what you're trying to get through. You get through your own materials. Maybe you get some ancillary materials that you get through some friends and things like that, but you don't realize the breadth that the university has to offer. And kind of coming back in this capacity, being able to see the amazing achievements out in the world in all of these different spaces has been a really wonderful opportunity. And I think the third thing has been connecting with peers and people that were ostensibly lost to me for a long time. That it was just a really nice chance to remember what wonderful people go to this university, and be able to spend more time with them and kind of re-engage now that we have a lot more experience. So I'm very appreciative to the alumni board and the committee for giving me this opportunity. All of that said, I believe you're being left in more capable hands than my own. Betsy did a wonderful job of introducing Dawn. Dawn and I were here at the same time during school. She was very actively involved with the university and the campus when we were here. It's a big IIT year this year, since we will be doing, since what's going on, the global gathering, our reunion. There's all kinds of things going on throughout the year, and she will be, she's a key part of that. She's got an impressive resume ranging from her job as a partner now to being president of the Chicago chapter of the AIA, and just stellar work along the way. So I'm proud to have you take the chair, and I appreciate it very much. Thank you. Not at all.
All right, as Scott walks off the stage, though, please help me in thanking him for all he's done for the last 4 years, I think, actually. So I feel very fortunate to have had great examples, actually. Jeff Karp, one of our winners today, and Scott have both set such great examples as chairs of this committee, and are both very passionate about it. And I think Scott's comments are fantastic, because I feel so much the same. I actually wanted to share just a little bit about that, and along the same lines of what Scott said, is that he actually is somebody who gave me great insight into this issue of diversity when I first started joining in this committee and reviewing the awards. Because not only when you're here, you don't really understand all the different divisions within the university. I mean, my husband is an electrical engineer, so I spent a lot of time with people in my dorm room while I was drafting, talking about differential equations, arguing over why it wasn't working out. At 3 a.m., it was an enlightening thing. But you just still only see these pockets, and what you don't understand is the diversity, and you don't understand the accomplishments until you see it. And each of us has a unique perspective to bring to this. So we were reviewing one of the award winners, and I believe it was Kenneth Josephson, I think, who won in 2014 for a Professional Achievement Award. And Scott, being on the committee and having gone through the Institute of Design, he could bring a perspective, like he said, when you're weighing somebody in law and engineering and design, he brought a perspective that was very unique. And I remember it very vividly because he said, this person who is recommending Kenneth, you don't understand how hard it is to get something nice from this person. This person is really just critical of everything. And this says the world about this person and what impact that this person has had within the realm that constitutes what the Institute of Design stood for. Those kinds of insights mean so much, and I see it every year. Everyone who's a part of the committee brings something like that to it. So really, for this reason, I wanted to tell you that story to say, if you know of people that would be really great, an alumna of the college of IIT, I really would encourage, please, as my first year in this committee, think about that person, submit their name, and all of you who are winning this year, don't think I don't have my eye on you guys too, because I might bend your ear a bit. But you will find that that this group benefits from that diversity. Anyone who could bring that perspective is welcome on this committee, because it's only through that diversity that we can honor the very best of our alum. I also wanted just to say a little bit about the award winners this year. I'm not going to talk very much because Betsy's going to tell you so many great things. But after the 5 years of serving on this committee, I'm just really amazed thinking that these people who are presented walked on our sidewalks just outside this building. These people toiled within our buildings here, some of them in armor and in the buildings new and old here on the campus, or within our dormitories, our fraternities. In thinking about that, I hope these stories are inspirational to our students today, because those who are here today and all of you students who stood up, some of you are going to be up here someday, and maybe soon, because the award winners represent a great diversity among all of our colleges, but they also represent a diversity of age, with the longest ago one being a graduate in 1954 to someone who graduated 5 years ago. That's tremendous to think of that kind of an impact to the university and to the world. So before we raise a kind of a theoretical glass for those winners, I do want to say, think of who should be up here next year, and please send us thoughts or think about nominating them yourselves, because we will really benefit from that. So now, on behalf of all of us, and I'm going to call out and say on behalf of Alan, on behalf of our fearless leader, Betsy, she really is phenomenal. On behalf of all of us on this committee and the Alumni Board, please join me in raising a theoretical glass, and let's toast to the winners. I would just say, I know we don't have wine, but please raise your water glass, and please toast all of our winners here for the 2017 Alumni Awards. Thank you.
Thank you, Scott and Dawn. And now we have the honor of hearing from the president of Illinois Tech, Alan Cram. Many of you have gotten to know Alan in his presidency and before as our provost, but because we have visitors, let me brag about him just a little bit. Alan earned his BS in metallurgy from Strathclyde University, Glasgow, and PhD in materials science from the University of Pennsylvania. He then worked in the steel industry, conducting and managing research for 7 years. And in 1986, he decided to join academia and join Carnegie Mellon, and worked there until 2005, when he became Dean of Engineering at Rensselaer Polytech. Alan came to Illinois Tech as Provost and Senior Vice President of Academic Affairs, a position he held for 7 years before being named the university's 9th president in 2015. That same year, he was inducted into the prestigious National Academy of Engineering for his contributions to the development of high-integrity, continuously cast steels. And in 2016, he was made a fellow in the National Academy of Inventors. Since his inauguration, Alan has made it a priority to connect with alumni around the world. His vision, enthusiasm, and experience make him just the perfect man for this job. Please welcome the president of Illinois Institute of Technology, Alan Cram.
So it's wonderful to see so many people here today, so many great winners. I'm reminded that great universities are great universities because they have great graduates who go on and do wonderful things. And every time when we meet at this event, I look up and I see these boards hanging from the wall with the names of all of the winners, and I'm always amazed at just the accomplishment that everyone's had. And I see it as a real reflection in our university, on our faculty, and our student body, that what everyone learned when they were here, how they developed as a person while they were here, has actually turned them into people who could be successful and who are successful. And nowadays, when I'm asked what is the role of the president, I say it's simple. It's to make sure that the graduates of the future are as successful as the graduates of our past, and even become more successful. And in doing that, we do a lot in the university to try to upgrade ourselves with time, and all of you will see a lot of dirt being moved and concrete being poured in the space that used to be Martin Park. And that's our investment in the future. And it's our investment in the future of the university in creativity and innovation. And this is the Ed Kaplan Family Center, the Institute for Tech Entrepreneurship and Innovation. And Ed's here, and Ed, we could thank you for being the keynote of this. But I think if you look at this and you say, well, that's interesting, so what is the future of the university? The future of the university is the creative students who come here learning how to hone their creativity into meaningful innovation. Learning how to work with others, learning how to work themselves, and learning how to move their ideas forward in whatever discipline they choose. And I think this is a wonderful time, because now we're asking our alumni to think about, if you were an entrepreneur, come back and help our young entrepreneurs. If you were successful in business, come back and help our students in that way. This building will be a place that everyone can come together to actually develop the future of our university, the future graduates of our university. And that's why it's a building that isn't owned by anyone, but is owned by everyone. And it's our real statement in the future of engineering, the future of science, the future of law, the future of all our majors, is that our graduates must be creative and innovative in order to be successful for the rest of their lives. A number of you will remember Main Building. It's our first building from the Armour Institute and the beginning of our university. And for many years, I've been struggling over what to actually do with Main Building, because a number of years ago we run into an interesting problem, and that is the roof wasn't sitting on right, and the roof has to sit on right, and the building wasn't structurally sound, and in a semester we had to remove everyone from the building, and actually fortunately we had the IIT tower and could move people into the tower. And at that time we started looking at what could be done to make this a building going into the future that would really serve the university well. As we looked at that, we found that just fixing the building so it was structurally sound and had a roof on it that wasn't about to blow or fall off would have cost us maybe $20 million total. And as we looked at that, we thought, I'm not sure that's the right use of $20 million at this time, but perhaps there's another use. And our chief counsel said, why don't you actually ask people if they have ideas about how to use this building, how to maintain it as the historic building that we have, but yet turn it into something that would be very useful for the university. And I have to admit, when I heard that, I thought, yeah, that's going to happen. We'll put out a request for proposals and people will turn up with great ideas of what to do with this iconic building that's the first building of our university. And I'm pleased to say I was wrong. We actually got a number of great ideas. And we're going ahead with one of them, and that is a group came and said, look, it's a historic building. We think we can use historic tax credits here. We think we can come up with an idea. We'd like to turn it into a building that has micro apartments for young professionals, perhaps students, but the type of people who are coming to join you as faculty, the type of people who are working here in our tech park, and perhaps a number of our graduate students might want to stay here, and we'd like to develop it into this new idea of micro apartments. And actually, we signed everything and turned it over to them a couple of months ago. They have a ground lease for a number of years. The building will come back to us in about 30 years. But they are going to completely renovate the building, but keep all the historic parts. So all of you who remember walking up the stairs and seeing the beautiful stained glass windows, they will remain, the stairs will remain, the outside facade will remain, and all of the historic parts of the building will be there into the future. So we've actually discovered a way to ensure that a building that was the first building on campus will remain with us and have a brand new use and a very good use for the university and also for the surroundings. We're now looking to see how we can renovate Bailey and Cunningham, and we're having interesting discussions with people who have really interesting ideas about how this can be done. What does this mean? This means that we are actually looking forward of the university of what we're going to become in the next 5 years, the next 10 years, the next 20 years. And I think this is a very great time in our university to be able to sit here and start to say, what should we become and what facilities do we need to become that? And again, it will all go back to our student body and the great students that come here. I have to say, any of you who think that you would be accepted into the university, maybe not. Because the quality of the students increases every year. And they come and they have wonderful ideas about what to do. I'd like to mention that our last student president, Hamza, is he here? Yeah, Hamza up there, who's just stepping down as a student president, has done a wonderful job this year and is indicative of what our university student presidents are like. And I'd like to introduce our new student president. Don, would you stand up for a second? So, if you want to know something about our student body, you should understand it's global, it's diverse, and I think Hamza actually is from Syria, came to us 3-4 years ago. Don is from California, right? Yes. Yes. But I think if you look at that, not that we don't have plenty of students from Illinois and Wisconsin and Indiana, but we're a university that's truly a global university in Chicago. And I say to everyone, if you want to come to our university, you come to Chicago. If you're an international student, have a global experience. If you're a US student, you come to Chicago and have a global experience here. And this is the future of our university. We are incredibly diverse. We have 100 countries on campus. We have every state apart from Wyoming. I'm actually not sure what's wrong with Wyoming, but that's the way it is. We're also becoming a national draw. We have every year more and more students coming from outside of Illinois and Indiana and Wisconsin. And this doesn't mean we're decreasing the numbers of students from the local area. This is because we're growing. And we're growing internationally and we're growing across the country. This is the future of our university, to be this wonderful, global, diverse university that allows our students to become whatever it is they want to become. We're going to be part of their success. And I think as I look around this group, if their success is every bit as good as the success of the people being honored today, we'll have done a great job. And we will be as proud in the future of our graduates as we are of the graduates being honored today. Thank you very much. So it's now, that's the brief university update, by the way. I've got here, and Betsy had brief in really large letters. So I'm hoping that I didn't speak too long. Good job, eh? I also have an amusing, just before I introduce Mike Galvin here, I was going round, we're having our annual event where the students show their iPro projects, and it's just amazing to see everything that our students do and the kind of thoughts they have. But there's also amusing things happen. And I was looking at one of the groups, and they were developing, it was actually a bowl for feeding a dog, so that if you were aged and your memory was going or you're having memory loss, then this bowl would light up and you would know when to feed the dog and when not to feed the dog. And I said, okay, well who are the groups that you're looking for? And the young man looked at me very seriously and said, 60 and above. And I thought, finally, here I am. I said, you do realize I'm 63, you know? And they all looked a little embarrassed, thankfully. But it's wonderful being university president. You have these times when things are, you know, come back to remind you of what it was like when you used to think that, you know, when you're 20, old is 30, you know. Anyway, now it's really my pleasure to introduce Mike Galvin, and he's going to introduce the Galvin Award winner. As you know, this university has been related to the Galvin name for a long time, and Mike's father, Bob Galvin, was instrumental with Bob Pritzker in really stepping up at a time in the history of the university where things were very tough. And actually, it's true to say that they saved the university and set the path of the university so that we are where we are today, and without them, the university would not be as it is today. And I think we should always remember that great philanthropists step up at the right time and help universities. In the way we started with the $1 Million Gift, we've been very fortunate to have great board members, great chairman of the board, and great supporters of the university step up and do incredibly meaningful things for this university that has enabled us to become what we are today. Now, Mike is obviously Bob's son, but he's also a graduate of the Chicago-Kent School of Law. He's been a member of the IIT Board of Trustees for a number of years and was the recipient of the Alumni Service Award in 2011. And I'm now going to ask him if he would come up and present the Galvin Award.
Thank you so much, Alan. It's great to be back with the IIT Illinois Tech family. I'm honored to present today a very special award, the only award given today to a volunteer in the Illinois Tech community who did not attend Illinois Tech. And the reason why this is significant is that the Galvin Award was established in 2010 in honor of my father, the late Bob Galvin, who led Motorola for 3 decades and delighted in hiring Illinois Tech grads, 2 of them of which are being honored today, Bob Growney and Adrian, who not only contributed mightily at the shop and factory and lab floor, but rose to the highest levels in the executive ranks of that company in which they partnered with my father. And he also, as was indicated by Alan, very dedicated to Illinois Tech, serving as chairman of the Board of Trustees and a university regent. Bob further chaired the National Commission for IIT, which helped chart the course and the vision for the university that it's on today. Bob's extraordinary volunteerism and his selfless and generous philanthropy transformed the university. Bob did all this despite the fact that Illinois Tech was not his alma mater. He chose to dedicate his service to this university for more than 50 years because it was a place where he felt he could truly make a difference. And that holds true for this year's Galvin Award winner as well. Rosemary Mitchell is, as Bob Galvin was, a true roll-up-your-sleeves-and-get-to-work kind of volunteer and friend for Illinois Tech. Raised in Arlington, Massachusetts, Rosemary says she grew up in a very, very Italian family in an era where women were only expected to be wives and mothers. But Rosemary has most certainly forged her own path, not only, as her parents would be proud, as a beloved wife and mother, but as a business owner and CEO with grace and style uniquely her own. Rosemary's parents were a little worried when she was young because she didn't really talk that much. No wonder. When Rosemary started school, she only knew Italian words. So the teachers thought she was a little slow, but of course she quickly corrected that perception. While Rosemary's parents did not see the necessity of college for women generally, and Rosemary in particular, Rosemary was still determined to go and managed to get herself accepted to Northeastern University. There, she met her partner in life, family, and business, Tom Mitchell. Now get this. Tom was the captain of the football team, and Rosemary was the homecoming queen and class president. Really? Their story is so all-American that they were profiled in the New York Times article in 2009 as the quintessential Northeastern University couple. Now, Rosemary started her career in PR, and later she and Tom founded ABS Associates and grew their company together. Rosemary has somehow managed to juggle the roles of wife, mother of four, and CEO, managing each very well. And lucky for Illinois Tech that Rosemary was able to find scarce free additional time and devote her energy to our university as well, where she generously shares leadership skills as a member of the Board of Trustees of Illinois Tech and as chair of the Stewart School of Business Board of Advisors. Rosemary's connection to Illinois Tech began in 1995 when Tom was asked to join the Stewart Board, but Rosemary stepped up and volunteered herself instead. That's the kind of person she is. She's wonderful. They've both been wonderful volunteers to the Stewart School and to the university and have given generously to Illinois Tech, and for that we're so grateful. But Rosemary's leadership has been transformational for the Stewart School. She expanded the advisory board, personally recruiting more than half of its members. She works tirelessly to expose others in the Chicago business community to the Stewart School and to Illinois Tech at large. If that wasn't enough, Rosemary further established a Stewart School mentoring program that has profoundly touched the lives of students and board members alike. A few of the Stewart School students and alumni from that mentoring program are actually here today. God bless them. Please, everybody, will you stand and join me in congratulating the 2017 Galvin Award winner, Rosemary Mitchell.
Whenever I talk to anyone about this great university, I gush over the students. Such a diverse mixture of cultures, backgrounds, and interests. What they do have in common, however, is an abundant supply of brain power and an enormous drive to face every challenge head on. When I'm trying to recruit my friends, family, and/or colleagues for a board position, for example, what I emphasize is that their contributions will indeed make a huge difference. And the people here, starting at the very top, have not only the intelligence and business acumen you would expect, but also a refreshing, down-to-earth authenticity and a great appreciation for the effort of others. Illinois Tech is recognized worldwide for its innovative programs and rigorous curriculum, and rightly so. But in my eyes, it is the faculty, students, board members, administration, and staff that have inspired me to sing its praises. Can you imagine what a privilege it has been for me to interact with such talented men and women of all ages? This past Christmas, I received a most wonderful gift, a letter from President Cram informing me that I was selected for the Galvin Award. My husband Tom exclaimed, "Wow," and I, of course, cried. I can't tell you how honored I am and how much this recognition means to me. Tom and I love the university and all it stands for, but most of all, it is the people who have won our hearts. Thank you for this extraordinary award and for the countless ways you have enriched my life. Thank you.
I'm going to call out Mr. Mitchell up here. Give us a parade wave, Tom. Come on. Yeah. Yay, Tom. Congratulations, Rosemary. Everyone, please enjoy your lunch, and we'll be back with the Alumni Awards. Thank you. Okay, so one of those really smart Illinois Tech alums in the room, President Cram, has the answer to why we have no students from Wyoming. It's last in the alphabet. We're going alphabetically. We just haven't gotten there yet. That's pretty good. And if you don't know this, we have gobs of students from Alaska. So we've excelled at our A's. And we're moving on. We're moving on. I want to take a moment before we get started with the program to remember Len Rifle. Len died just a few days ago. He won the Professional Achievement Award in 1974 and was inducted into the IIT Hall of Fame in 1984. He was a physicist and an inventor who earned all 3 degrees from IIT, his bachelor's in 47, master's in 48, PhD in 53. He went on to invent the telestrator. All you football fans know what this is, right? So it allows for a freehand sketch over top of a moving video like John Madden in front of a football screen, right? He also played a key role in launching Apollo missions. And so let's have a round of applause for Len Rifle's life. All right, and now we move on to our Alumni Awards, and please forgive my notes. I have awesome things to tell you about these folks, so I will do some reading. President Cram and Don Schutte are going to present the awards, and they will join us, and our winners will be escorted to the stage by our students, Paige Mass and Pranoy Roy. They're coming? Yes, there we go. All right, let's go. First up is the Outstanding Young Alumnus Award, giving to alumni who are 40 years old or younger who have demonstrated leadership and success in their careers, and this year we have 2 recipients. The first, Alireza Khalid, earned his PhD in electrical engineering in 2006. He has spent the last 10 years working on his passion to make energy and transportation greener and more environmentally sound. He's done groundbreaking research on hybrid energy storage systems and power electronics for electronic transport. Alireza was also the first person to design an electric vehicle with 1 power converter instead of 2, which makes the vehicle much lighter and more energy efficient. He's been honored 3 times by the Institute of Electrical and Electronics Engineers for his research and has written more than 170 papers. You remember that under 40 thing, right? He has 10 awarded or pending patents and is a program manager at the National Science Foundation. Alireza tells us that in 2011, the University of Maryland asked him to build their entire power electronics program from the ground up. As part of that work, he invented a power system that allowed insect-sized micro-robots to move and fly without being plugged in. In other words, he made bug-sized robots able to creep and crawl on their own, opening up a technology that, while still in its early stages, will certainly contribute to a number of initiatives in the future. Alireza is an associate professor and director of the Power Electronics, Energy Harvesting, and Renewable Energies Laboratory at the University of Maryland. In 2015, the National Science Foundation made him one of their youngest program experts, assigning him to the Energy Power Control and Networks program. And he was nominated for this award by Mahesh Krishnamurthy, Illinois Tech Associate Professor of Electrical and Computer Engineering. Alireza grew up in Iran, graduating first among the electronic power engineers at Sharif Technological University, Iran's most prestigious engineering school. When he came to Illinois Tech, he took the PhD qualifying exam in his first semester and again placed first among electrical engineers, finishing his PhD in just 21 months. Yes, you all understand how amazing that is. After postdoctoral work at the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, Alireza came back to Illinois Tech as an assistant professor. You're still with me on that under 40 thing, right? His favorite memory of his faculty days is serving as the co-advisor for the Weiser Formula One racing team. He recalls watching in amazement as the hybrid car the team had designed lapped all of its competitors to win the national 2010 General Motors Best Engineered Hybrid Systems Award. Ali Reza, you are an outstanding young alumnus. We congratulate you. Come forward. Our next Outstanding Young Alumnus Award goes to a pioneer in the field of computer data storage. Some of you may know the story of CleverSafe, a company that was incubated on the Illinois Tech campus starting in 2004. The company ultimately revolutionized computer data storage and sold to IBM for $1.3 billion in this says 2015, it's 2016, right, Chris Gladwin? 2015, all right. For $1.3 billion. Wesley Leggett was first hired as a student intern at CleverSafe in 2006. He fondly recalls his early days with the company. There's this great story about the time a pipe sprung a leak in CleverSafe's new building in Chicago West Loop. What started as a trickle quickly became a roaring gale, and he and his team had to race to rescue the few high-powered computer servers that they owned, which were valued north of $1 million, and drag the servers out into the street where we're told they used hair dryers to try to desperately save the servers. CleverSafe got so busy for a while that Wes left Illinois Tech, but once he saw how his knowledge was put to work in the workplace, he came back and earned his degree in computer science in 2012. According to CleverSafe founder Chris Gladwin, Wesley created the segmentation layer that allowed CleverSafe to store unlimited amounts of data, as well as the routing architecture that easily sends slices of data to specific computer servers and drivers. At the age of 31, Wesley has 140 issued patents, with 20 patents pending, making him one of the most prolific inventors in Chicago. Currently, Wesley manages a team of 20 IBM engineers and is a key spokesperson for the company at conferences and with its customers. He's an excellent public speaker and has studied French, Chinese, Japanese, and Latin. Sometimes dreams about going back to school to study linguistics. He so enjoyed his humanities classes at Illinois Tech that he recently made a gift to Lewis College. Thank you. Wesley's good friend, CleverSafe colleague, and fellow alumnus Jason Resch, who is here, won this same award in 2015. CleverSafe was originally employed by 14 Illinois Tech student interns. Currently, there are more than 30 of our alumni working at the company, which is now known as IBM Cloud Object Storage. Wes's parents and family are here with them today, too. We are so proud of you. Congratulations. And now we will present the John J. Schomer Honor I Award. Our next award goes to a graduate of Illinois Tech who excelled in both leadership and performance as a student athlete and who went on to achieve significant success after graduation. And this award is named for John Schomer. Many of you remember him. He was an Illinois Tech graduate, you don't remember this part, but from 1912, a beloved coach, chemistry professor, and our first athletic director. He competed in basketball, baseball, and track for Illinois Tech. The original Honor I Award was a student recognition for athletes that originated around 1910. It continued through 1983, but then was no longer awarded. In 1967, the Schomer Honor I Award was created for alumni as a companion to that student honor. It was given annually until 1995, and we brought it back in 2015. So today I'm honored to present this historic award that bears John Schomer's name to Brad Krieger. Brad was the first Illinois Tech athlete to compete in the National Sports Festival, which is a precursor to the Olympics, and his modern pentathlon team won the gold medal at the festival. He was also the first Illinois Tech individual athlete to compete in national championships 3 years in a row. He competed in both swimming and cross country all 4 years of college and set university records in both sports, including a cross country record that went unbroken for 29 years. After graduation, he came back to Illinois Tech and coached our men's cross-country team to its first conference championship. Following his years at Illinois Tech, Brad went on to become a successful executive in joint ventures between national banks and real estate companies. He served as vice president for several companies, including Wachovia and SunTrust Mortgage, before transitioning to healthcare finance. He now serves as a senior financial analyst for Florida's Adventist Health System, a healthcare provider with 77,000 employees, and he also sits on the board of directors of Florida Hospital Credit Union. These days, Brad is known for arriving early at work to serve as a spiritual ambassador for the Florida Hospital. He gives motivational speeches at the hospital on a monthly basis. The Schomer Honor Eye Award is all about keeping a focus on athleticism throughout your life, and Brad personifies this exactly. He now uses the lessons learned in his athletic past to lead his coworkers in fitness challenges and 5-kilometer race fundraisers. Brad was nominated for this award by his daughter Valerie, whom he trained in 2012 for the 3-mile run that was required to qualify as a United States Marine officer. He also trained his son, Garrett, then an inexperienced swimmer, to qualify as a U.S. Navy rescue swimmer in just 4 months. For always leading the pack and teaching others never to give up, Brad, we congratulate you. Our next award category is the Professional Achievement Award, which honors alumni whose achievements in their fields have brought distinction to themselves and as well as credit to Illinois Tech. This is the category that always gives our judges a challenge because we have so many extraordinary nominees, and this year our awards committee has selected 3 winners. The first is Judson Altoff, who earned his mechanical engineering degree from Illinois Tech in 1995. Judson lives in Seattle and serves as Executive Vice President for Microsoft. Let that sink in. 22 years out of college, as Dawn said, living in these dorms, walking these sidewalks. Judson is the Executive Vice President for the world's largest software company. Judson can't be here today, but we will present his award to him next week when he comes to campus to deliver a talk to students. Let me tell you just a little about him. Growing up in the small town of Worcester, Ohio, Judson was fascinated with anything that moved. His mother was a calculus teacher, and his father was a surgeon who also had earned a pilot's license. They valued math and science, and so they encouraged his curiosity, even when he started taking apart the lawnmower to see how it worked. Those are very patient parents. Judson's high school math teacher, Dr. Fraunfelder, was the only other math teacher in town besides his mother, and he held a doctorate in mechanical engineering. Judson tells us that inspired him to pursue engineering in college. And we sure are glad he did. At Illinois Tech, Judson distinguished himself as a leader. He served as president of the student government and his fraternity, and he even started a business that brought entertainers to campus, a version of which still exists today. At graduation in 1995, he gave the student commencement address, and he came back to speak at commencement 20 years later in 2015. We look forward to presenting his award next week. Please join me in giving Judson a round of applause. Our next winner tells us that she grew up in New Orleans as a very studious, very quiet, very shy child. And those who know Sherry Littlejohn today may find that description a little hard to believe. But several formative experiences taught her to push herself, quote, outside the box. In high school, she tells us that a teacher practically forced her to take a leadership role in student government. And in her freshman year at Xavier University of Louisiana, it was a terrifying speech class that taught her that she could pretty much overcome any challenge, despite that shyness. A summer job working in Boston for the Department of Transportation expanded her world even further and gave her the opportunity to program in Fortran. It also gave her the confidence to see that she could succeed in an overwhelmingly male field. She earned her master's degree in computer science at Illinois Tech while working full-time at Bell Labs, well known for innovation. Sherry tells us those years were hugely influential, not only furthering her computer science skills, but also with applying skills in the real world and working with others. She describes Illinois Tech, quote, "It's not just a tech school, it's a school that educates the whole student." Today, Sherry leads the Wells Fargo Internal Innovation Strategies team. and oversees enterprise technology idea generation, providing the catalyst for transformative change across the country. The value she places on collaboration shines through when asked about her definition of success. She tells us that she defines success by how she is able to help others, such as when her whole team does something that they didn't think was possible. We have always known Sherry was a huge influencer in the tech industry, but it was nice to see the industry recognize that influence. Last year, she was named one of the top 50 women in technology, among many other awards she has received. She leverages that recognition to help mentor others and gives to scholarship funding at Illinois Tech. She also provides leadership as a member of the Alumni Board and the Board of Trustees. For continuing to always push yourself outside that box, we're proud to award you, Sherry, the Professional Achievement Award. Our final winner of the Professional Achievement Award, Michael Romalis, was nominated by Professor Lyman Page of Princeton University and our very own Illinois Tech professor, John Zezadinsky. They describe Mike as one of the leading atomic physicists of his generation, on par with another great Illinois Tech graduate, the late Sidney Coleman, who they say was, quote, the physicist's physicist. According to his nominators, Mike has developed ingenious tabletop experiments to answer questions that would normally be tackled with a Large Hadron Collider. He has done this by inventing the most sensitive magnetometers in the world, which he uses to search for violations of the fundamental laws of physics, which might explain certain mysteries about the universe. His magnetometers also have numerous applications in other fields, such as brain scanning, and he's working with partners to develop these. He recently designed a magnetometer that is twice as powerful as the current SQUID magnetometer used for imaging the brain. He has set new limits on violations to the theory of relativity, which could change our understanding of the basic laws of physics, including the interactions of space, time, gravity, and the speed of light. Mike also won the Francis M. Pipkin Award from the American Physical Society for his work on antimatter versus matter. Growing up in Voronezh, Russia, Mike loved to tinker with electronics and to build things. He followed his mother to the United States after she took an adjunct professorship in mathematics at Illinois Tech. And we awarded Mike his bachelor's degree in physics in 1993. But after Mike went to get his PhD at Princeton, it was his mother's turn to follow him to the East Coast, where she got a professorship at the University of Bridgeport in Connecticut. She eventually became head of mathematics and dean of the arts and sciences there before passing away in 2009. Mike married his wife Meredith, an attorney, in 2011. Meredith's father was an electrician, and Mike said that kind of made him okay because he was kind of a technical guy. And they have 2 daughters. If Mike looks a little windburnt, it's because he recently came back from the South Pole, where he's been conducting his latest experiments to avoid the effects of the Earth's rotation, because it's just all in a day's work for Mike. Congratulations. Up next are the Lifetime Achievement Awards, bestowed posthumously on individuals who have achieved personal success, made outstanding contributions to their chosen fields, and achieved recognition from their colleagues. This year we remembered 2 extraordinary alumni. Our first recipient is Robert Growney, who was born and raised right here on Chicago's South Side. Bob earned his bachelor's degree in mechanical engineering in 1974 and his MBA in 1982, after 20 years of evening classes. Early in those years, to make ends meet, he worked several odd jobs, including as a shoe salesman, and he worked in the kitchen at the Brookfield Zoo. But in 1966, he said goodbye to those odd jobs when Motorola came calling. Before even earning his bachelor's degree, he joined the company as an engineer, beginning a career that spanned 36 years and culminating in his role as president and chief operating officer. Bob retired in 2002, but we have to take that word retired with a grain of salt, because he didn't let the idea of true retirement stop him from living his life. He joined Edgewater Funds as an advisor and deal maker and remained active in the business until his death in 2016. Bob loved model train building, big game hunting, and Corvette restoration. But he was first and foremost a devoted husband, father, and grandfather. In his retirement, it wasn't unusual for Bob to apologize to you for missing a call because he was otherwise engaged, hanging out on the floor, playing with his grandkids. He was devoted to his alma mater and always made Illinois Tech a priority. Bob was a member of the Board of Trustees for 19 years, chair of the Stewart School of Business Board of Advisors, and heavily involved in driving the business school's strategic initiatives. We're very happy to have Bob's two daughters here, Alicia and Rebecca, to accept the award on behalf of their family. Our second Lifetime Achievement Award winner is Gertrude Kurbis, who earned her master's degree in architecture from Illinois Tech in 1954. In 1933, at 7 years old, Gertrude attended the World's Fair in Chicago, where a fortune teller told her she would grow up to be a nurse or a teacher. But fast forward to 1946, when Gertrude was enrolled at the University of Wisconsin at Madison. She read a profile of Frank Lloyd Wright, then hitchhiked the 40 miles to his 1911-built Taliesin estate, where she broke into the bathroom window, stayed the night, and woke up the next morning knowing she had to be an architect. Now, Wisconsin offered no architecture degree, so she transferred to the University of Illinois at Urbana-Champaign, where she earned her BS before enrolling in Harvard University's Graduate School of Design. But wait, there's more. In the summer of 1949, she comes to visit Chicago, and she sees these Mies van der Rohe towers being built on Lakeshore Drive, and she knows she just must transfer to Illinois Tech, where she earned her master's degree under the legendary architect. Now, don't we just love a woman who quits Harvard and comes to Illinois Tech? Yeah. Gertrude was truly a pioneer in her field, and I know the architects in the room really get this. She was one of the first women to earn a master's degree in architecture from Illinois Tech. In 1967, she was the first woman to own her own architecture firm in the city of Chicago. And in 1970, she was the first woman from Illinois to become a fellow in the American Institute of Architects. Gertrude was a woman, I told the daughters, this is my favorite line of the whole day, who enjoyed sipping scotch and eating potato chips. Right? Don't you feel like you know her, right now? She loved technology, yet she had a rotary phone until 2005. In the late 1970s, she appeared on, and those of you who can see her lovely picture above you will understand this. In the late 70s, she appeared on a Girl Scout cookie box. And if anyone can locate the box, there's a reward to be had from the family. Gertrude's son was here with us earlier, needed to leave, but her two daughters, Lisa and Kim, will accept the award on her behalf. Congratulations. I can't stop thinking of her crawling through the bathroom window at Taliesin. The International Award of Merit is up next, given to alumni whose achievements have strengthened Illinois Tech's reputation on an international scale. This year, the International Award of Merit goes to Robin Travasia, who earned degrees in political science and psychology in 2006. The daughter of Indian immigrants to the United States, Robin left her Los Angeles home at 16 to join the U.S. Air Force, which later funded her education at Illinois Tech. During a humanities class here on global women's movements, she was inspired to found a nonprofit dedicated to supporting women who are rejected and exploited by society. She would call the nonprofit, quote, Kranti, which in Hindi means revolutionary. Just 6 months before the Don't Ask, Don't Tell law was repealed in 2010, Robin was forced to leave the Air Force because of her sexual orientation. She was driven more than ever to start her nonprofit. And in 2012, Kranti, a nonprofit organization and school, was established in Mumbai, India. The mission of Kranti is to rescue, support, and most of all, to formally educate the victims of human trafficking and daughters of sex workers. In the 5 short years since Kranti was founded, the students have already gone on to accomplish extraordinary things. One young woman won the United Nations Young Courage Award and was named one of 25 under 25 to watch by Newsweek magazine. Many have learned to read and write for the first time in their lives. And they have given 11 TED Talks on sexual exploitation and social justice worldwide. In 2016, Robin was selected as a finalist for the $1 million Global Teachers Prize, widely considered the Nobel Prize for Teaching. 30-year-old Robin was one of 10 finalists worldwide. Though she didn't ultimately win the prize, she and other finalists joined a special celebration with Pope Francis in Dubai. 3 times in the last 5 years, Kranti has been kicked out of buildings the school was renting due to prejudice against women with a sex work background. But that hasn't stopped Robin. She's always devoted first to her students. And if anyone's interested in learning more about Kranti or partnering with Robin, she would love to talk to you after the event. Robin, thank you for being such an extraordinary leader and educator of strong and inspirational women. Congratulations. Next, we have the Alumni Service Award, which honors alumni who demonstrate commitment to and enthusiasm for Illinois Tech through their involvement in varied areas of the university. Our 2017 recipient is Jeff Karp. Jeff always liked to tinker, and he tells us that as a young child, he remembers seeing something with an electric cord in a magazine and going forth to replicate it with parts he found around the house. And then he plugged it in. But he's still here. What resulted was a blown fuse, thankfully no injuries, but from there his parents figured maybe he needed a little more guidance. Jeff began his college career at Purdue, but transferred to Illinois Tech his sophomore year and earned his civil engineering degree in 1979. He went to work at Dell E Web Corporation and almost immediately got the project at Comiskey Park, everyone remembers that name, formerly home of the Chicago White Sox, to build skyboxes underneath the upper deck. He'd never run a project on his own before, and he thought his boss was pretty crazy for putting him in charge, but it turned out to be a fun project for him, even though he was a Cubs fan. In 1986, Jeff accepted a position at Power Construction as a project manager and spent the next 29 years making his way up the ladder before retiring as CEO in 2015. There is a loud table of Power Construction people in the back cheering raucously for him. Jeff's CEO predecessor, Al Gorman, is also an Illinois Tech trustee who served as Jeff's mentor and coach, and he played a big role in reconnecting Jeff with his alma mater. Years ago, Al had founded a Friends of the Stewart School Power Luncheon to raise visibility for the business school, and Jeff later led the rejuvenation of this lunch, introducing new business leaders to the university and raising scholarship funds. But Jeff's service to the university didn't stop there. He's a member of the Board of Trustees and its Facilities Committee. He's on the Civil Architectural and Environmental Engineering Department Advisory Board, and of course the Stewart School of Business Board of Advisors. And he and his wife Molly, who is here with him today, established the Karp Family Scholarship Fund, and their scholar, Jennifer Romero, is also here with us today. Jeff served 6 years on the Alumni Association Board of Directors, chairing this Alumni Awards Committee for 4 years. So if some of you recognize him, it's because he has been standing up here presenting these awards for many years. So it's real fun for us to be able to give Jeff the award. Thank you for your dedicated service to your alma mater. Up next is the Collins Merit Award, named for former Illinois Tech President Lou Collins. This award honors alumni for their outstanding commitment to the future of the university through philanthropic contributions paired with involvement in their gift. Art Hill, who earned his chemical engineering degree in 1971, is this year's recipient. Let me tell you a little about Art. He served in the U.S. Army and came home to get started on his future. He got a job and enrolled part-time in evening classes at Illinois Tech. It didn't take long for him to get impatient, though, when he was watching full-time students earn their degrees faster. So he quit his job, enrolled full-time, and finally earned his degree at the age of 34. That degree opened up lots of doors, and he spent his career as a process engineer at Best Foods, now called Unilever. But he later switched to his focus on investing, a skill he has told me he learned from his mother. Illinois Tech made quite an impression on Art, and I will never forget giving him a private tour of campus, and we got to go into the main building in 2015. And as President Cram had told you, that building had been shut down, and Art asked if he could take a tour. So my colleague Bruce Watts and I took Art in, and we opened the door to the beautiful stained glass and staircase, and Art walked up to the nearest pillar, and he hugged it, and he kissed it, and said, "I'm home, I'm home." That is a dedicated alum. But before he came back to campus for that momentous visit, Art knew he wanted to reconnect with us because he had been collecting all that lovely mail that we send you for a really long time over the years. And in 2014, he called us and said, "I'd like to make a gift." It doesn't happen that often, so it was kind of a big day. Art's story is about the joy of philanthropic intent. His first major gift went to the Ed Kaplan Family Institute for Innovation and Tech Entrepreneurship, which, as you heard from President Cram, we are building right now. He tells us it was a gift he made because it was the president's top priority, which meant it was Art's top priority too. For his next gift, Art chose a matter closer to his heart and honored his family with 2 different scholarships, named the George and Dorothy Hill Endowed Scholarship and the Robert Milton Hill Endowed Scholarship. And the 2 Hill Scholars are here with us today, Javier Martinez and Myra Gonzalez. Art, we thank you for becoming one of Illinois Tech's great philanthropists. Your foresight will strengthen the university for generations to come. Congratulations. Keep clapping. Thank you. Our final award today is the Alumni Medal, the highest honor given by our Alumni Association. As you can see in the back of your program book, this award has a very illustrious list of recipients. These recipients exhibit the qualities of the Alumni Service Award, the Collins Merit Award, and the Professional Achievement Award, all rolled into one. The names of the Alumni Medal recipients are commemorated on a plaque that is just outside this room, and we have 3 past Alumni Medal recipients here with us today who you've already met: Walter Nathan, Ed Kaplan, and Bud Wendorf. This year's medal recipient is Adrian Nemchek, a 1970 electrical engineering graduate who grew up on the south side of Chicago. Adrian knew he wanted to be an electrical engineer early in his life and inherited his technical sense from his father, who introduced him to radios at a young age. Adrian was the first in his family to go to college, and to make ends meet, he worked full-time in the evenings, running the business functions for a hospital in the city. And he tells us that on quiet days, he would slip into the back room and study. He never forgot the magic of radios his father demonstrated to him all those years ago, and that memory, along with this great Illinois Tech education, led him straight to Motorola. Adrian says going to work for Motorola right out of college was a dream come true, and it must have been because he dedicated the next 36 years of his professional life to the company. He tells us he started as a rookie engineer, worked his way up. He led product development for several generations of handheld communication products and the cellular and private mobile radio or walkie-talkie markets. Adrian ultimately retired from the company in 2006 as Executive Vice President of Motorola Inc. and President of Motorola Networks. When his career reached a certain level of success, Adrian found he had the time and the means to take on another priority, his relationship with his alma mater. He accepted the role of chair of the Alumni Association Board of Directors in 2005, and this is where it gets personal for me. Around this time, I was tasked with enhancing alumni engagement, and we identified Adrian as the right leader to help us move forward. I remember sitting in his office, pitching him on this idea, and telling him exactly what we needed from him, strategy. And he said to me, which is very fitting in a moment of a luncheon, "Don't ever ask me to pick the color of the napkins." He said, "I will never do that. We need strategy." After leading a technology giant like Motorola, I knew he had the strategic vision we would need to rebuild the Alumni Association, and Adrian is directly responsible for the Alumni Board and the Alumni Relations Program we have today. From the moment he took on the role, Adrian was unstoppable. He brought energized and engaged leaders to the table, and he shaped an alumni board that truly represented Illinois Tech while building relationships with alumni around the world. He passionately advised university leadership about alumni programming, and he gave the Board of Trustees an understanding of the importance of alumni engagement. Thanks to his ambition, we finally had the traditions, connections, and excitement that alumni craved, something the university had not had for a long time. Bud Wendorf, the chairman of our Board of Trustees, expresses his gratitude to Adrian regularly by saying that without his leadership, we would not have the alumni engagement we have today. Adrian held that role for 8 years. In 2013, he recruited his successor, current chair and 1984 computer science graduate, Andrea Barry. Andrea says that as the current chair, she often asks herself, what would Adrian do? She claims Adrian is one of the few mentors she has had in her life. But revitalizing the Alumni Association was not enough for Adrian. He was also a member of the Board of Trustees since 2004 and was recently elected as a life trustee. And on top of his many years of volunteer service, the university has also benefited from his generous philanthropy. Adrian and his wife Lorna, who is here with us, established the Nemchek Family Scholarship to ensure generations of students will have the opportunity to receive the same education that set Adrian on his path to success. And one of his scholars was here with us today, Nicholas Worcester. Adrian, we are so lucky to have you, and for all you've done in your profession and your alma mater, you have our heartfelt thanks on being chosen 2017 Alumni Medal winner. Yeah! Woo! Let's stand and congratulate Adrian. Please stand. We'd like to invite Adrian to say a few words, please, after I get a hug.
Thank you, Betsy, and thank you all, and of course, the Illinois Tech Alumni Association. It was many years ago that Luke Hollins contacted me, wanted to have a lunch. You always wonder when the president of the university contacts you out of the blue, what exactly are they looking for? And he surprised me by saying, I want you to join the Board of Trustees. And I was taken by that. I always realized that Bob Growney was somewhere behind the curtain when that offer was made, but I still, to myself, thought, what a wonderful opportunity to reconnect with the institution that had provided the educational foundation for everything that I accomplished in my life, my career. And like most of us, we go, we get a job, we work our career, we build a family. I really hadn't had the opportunity to properly say thanks, and this was a marvelous opportunity. So I joined, and I thought that was pretty good. And then one day Betsy comes up to me, and as Betsy is prone to do, she says, hey, I have a special assignment for you, which is what she's already told you. I want you to restart the Alumni Association. I'd never in my life had anything to do with alumni associations. I was as far away from technology as you could be. But I had realized that in the years I had been with Motorola, we had hired many, many great engineers, many of them from Illinois Tech. And they were great engineers. But yet that sense of community, that fraternal relationship with the university as an alumni, I should say, I didn't see it as much with the IIT grads, and certainly I didn't have it myself. And I said, well, this is an interesting opportunity. There's something there that's definitely lacking. So, not knowing a lot better, I said, fine, let's do it. And we started because the alumni organization was pretty much non-existent at that point in time. And I was blessed. And I'll tell you right now, any recognition I get is because there were a group of great people who joined with me and made this happen. First person was Bud Wendorf. You know, he's now chairman of this organization. In those days, Bud and I would sit there and hold our heads and say, how are we going to make this thing move forward? Later on, Andrea Berry had joined, and she provided spirited leadership. And there's many members of the, the Alumni Association board that are here, and across the United States and the world. We put together regional organizations and chapters, and we put together the national chapters. The programs were put together. And we really did learn that the passion that the alumni out there had for this institution was phenomenal. As they used to say in military parlance, this was a target-rich environment. I mean, we couldn't go wrong by contacting, because what the alums wanted was the opportunity to reconnect. And we created that opportunity. We created the relationships, and they came, and they related. And, excuse me, the programs we had, the reception we were having on campus as alums come back has just been absolutely fantastic. So even though, you give me a lot of credit, I have to thank the people who stood with me and for all those years we put it together. We also learned one other thing that I think was fabulous, is that the relationship as an alumni of this institution doesn't begin the day you graduate. It begins the day you join as a student. And it's a lifelong relationship done properly. And we as an alumni organization reached out to the students. They rewarded us by joining in and contributing and participating. And as we are now graduating generations of future alumnus, they are now on the lifelong journey of being a relationship with this university that will last for the rest of their lives. So, we did accomplish a lot. And I have to thank the Board of Trustees, because whenever we went for the Board of Trustees, and we put together some great plans. We put together presentations. We're going to do this, we're going to do that. The Board of Trustees always said, go ahead, do it. We're encouraged, let's do it. And we had tremendous support from the president, John Anderson in those days, Provost Alan Cram, now President Alan Cram. Without the support of the board and the presidents of the university, we couldn't have accomplished it. So I'll just say thank you all very much for this recognition. But I'll always say it's been the result of a lot of hard work by a lot of great people, not just myself. So thank you all very much.
And as we conclude today's luncheon, I want to add a few thanks to the Alumni Board, to the nominating committee who chose these extraordinary individuals. Thanks to Scott and Dawn for also calling out appreciation to the team. This is kind of our Super Bowl. It's the Alumni Super Bowl. We love this day. We love having you back on campus. But please allow me to thank the Institutional Advancement team, and especially three of our team leaders, Kelly Fields, Lauren Shelby, and Becky Shearer, who made this happen. Thank you, everybody. So now, if you had an awesome time and you were inspired by these great winners, it's now up to you. As Don said, we really need your nominations. They are due on October 31st. You'll never forget that. So don't go trick-or-treating until you nominate your Alumni Award winner. For those of you who haven't been here in a long time, please take a little time, wander around campus. You will be surprised by many beautiful improvements, the Roteliad Engineering Center, the Robert A. Pritzker Science Center, and that beautiful construction site just to the north of us. But what hasn't changed, and those of you who had a chance to talk to students today, is who these students are. And they would love to talk to alumni. If you're wandering the sidewalk, you can just pull one over and stop them and say hi and talk to them. But thank you so much for spending your Friday afternoon with us, and we hope to see you again next year. Thank you.